a pastor trusted by his congregation, respected in the community, and seen as a man of God. But what if I told you this same preacher would one day stage one of the most shocking murder plots Tennessee had ever seen? A plan so twisted, it involved betrayal, arson, and a beheading, all to fake his own death. Reverend John David Terry led the Emmanuel Church of Christ Oneness Pentecostal in Nashville. Outwardly, he was a spiritual leader, but secretly, his life was falling apart. After his mother's death, he spiraled into despair, financial trouble, and feelings of failure. Instead of turning to prayer, Terry turned to plotting. He quietly saved up money, took out life insurance policies, and even created a fake identity to buy a motorcycle. Piece by piece, he was building the perfect illusion, an escape plan that would make the world believe he was dead while he lived on under a new name. But to pull it off, he needed a body. And tragically, he chose someone close, James C. Matheny, a 32-year-old handyman who trusted him completely. On June 15, 1987, Terry invited James on what seemed like a fishing trip. Instead, inside the church, Terry pulled out a gun and shot him in the back of the head. Then came the gruesome part. He severed James's head and arm, cut away tattoos, and dressed the corpse with his own belt and shoes, hoping investigators would believe he was the one dead. To finish the illusion, Terry rolled the body in carpet and set the church on fire. But here's the twist. Firefighters managed to put out the blaze before the body was completely destroyed. And forensic examiners quickly realized something chilling. The remains didn't match John David Terry. The body was taller, the tattoos didn't fit, and the so-called dead pastor was nowhere to be found. 2 days later, knowing his plan had collapsed, Terry turned himself in. His flock was stunned. Their preacher, the man who preached salvation, had become a cold-blooded murderer. In court, the details were laid bare. The insurance schemes, the fake identity, the brutal killing. The jury convicted him of first-degree murder and arson. In 1988, he was sentenced to death, but the story doesn't end there. Terry spent years on death row at Riverbend Maximum Security Institution. And in 2003, before the state could carry out his execution, he made one final choice. He hanged himself in his prison cell. The man who once stood behind a pulpit, preaching life and eternity, had chosen death at his own hands. This is the haunting story of Reverend John David Terry, a chilling reminder that sometimes the darkest evil hides behind the brightest smiles. Even the ones standing in the pulpit